now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. We're your hosts, Annette Harris, analyze questions and concerns such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Good. All right. Great afternoon and welcome to another wonderful session of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. And I'm your host, Annette Harris. Thank you so much for joining us on today, for watching and or listening. For this wonderful day, bright sunshine, we thank you for who you are and how you are. Get the glory out of today's session and everything we're going to say and do. In Jesus' name we pray. And the opening scripture that I normally like to quote is the first part of Hosea 4:6. And it states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And again, we're excited to be here. It is a special session that Mind, Body, and Soul is doing on today. It's Friday. You're probably like, what is she doing on today? Hey guys, I am here doing a special session. You probably seen my post. And if you would not mind, going ahead and when you come into the live feed, Annette, known as Annette on Facebook, please like and share. I see you guys coming in. If you wouldn't mind doing that for me. I've also tagged my guest, and it should be on his page as well. And then also we're on YouTube, MBSWANET. Get Caught in the Net. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you would please take time to do so. And then, of course, we're here at the wonderful Intellectual Radio. So you can go to intellectualradio.com, all one word, to hear us there. And I'm excited. I am going to get right into our interview on today because I am joined by a wonderful young man of God who I have had the pleasure of actually speaking with. But I was recommended by my own producer to do this interview on today. And he spoke very highly of you. I'm not sure if you guys actually ever met, but he spoke highly of you already. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to interview him. Thank you. I am talking of none other than Malcolm Brown. He has a different name on Facebook. But we're going to call him as his government name today. Malcolm Brown is here in the house. How are you on this afternoon?
I'm doing so well. And I just want to say this first. That was amazing. Like your introduction, her voice. I don't even want to talk. I can sit here and just listen to her talk. Like it's so precise and so smooth. Like that is amazing.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be on the show. I'm humbled to be here. I know this is not, I guess, an easy thing to do. And I just want to say thank you all for having me.
Oh, but of course.
Yeah, so I feel great.
Good. You're looking good. And I'm going to say this. When this young man came in, you know how I am about millennials. I love to push and encourage them, especially when they're doing something positive. Mm-hmm. And I see you. I peeped some of your videos and was looking at your website and everything. And so we're just kind of chit chat today. But when he came in, he came and he sat down. I don't think he knew that I saw him. And he started praying. Maybe that's something that he normally does. But I watched you. I don't know if you didn't see me watching you, but I was like, I like that.
I truly believe that every seat that God opens up for me is really divine and it's through him. So I won't disrespect God by sitting in the seat and think it's by my own strength or my own might. So I always, no matter where I go, give God glory for any platform that he opens up for me.
Beautiful. Yeah. And when you do it like that, you can be nothing but blessed. That's you keep that in mind. In mind. All right, let's see. RJ Williams is on here. Demetri Brand, Triplett, Cheryl, Pastor Rick. Thanks for watching. Tracy Kincaid is on. So you guys, this is going to be hot. Don't go anywhere. Tell somebody else that Mind, Body, and Soul is on a special session because I want you guys to hear about this young man. You may see displayed here a book that he has penned, 10 Miles to Your Destiny.
Yes.
10 Miles to Your Destiny, Pressing Towards the Mark, Malcolm Brown. Now, Mr. Brown, what I want to do, I do have your website. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, help yourself. Get comfortable.
A very nice light, but it's hot.
I know, like we're really in the studio. Like seriously, Earl's got this thing like rigged up here, So this is good stuff.
Mhm.
So make sure you make the mic your friend.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yes, and he is definitely no stranger to a mic. I said that before we started, so
I'm getting used to this.
you get used to
I'm
it.
getting used to it.
Well,
Yeah.
you're a natural at it. You're a natural from what I've seen. Okay, so like I was getting ready to say, I have your
Mhm.
bio, but if you can just take your time and introduce yourself to my listeners,
Okay.
let them know who you are,
Mhm.
what you're about, and then we can kind of move into talking about this wonderful project that you have.
Okay. Well, my name is Malcolm Brown, but I'm also known as Solo Raw on Facebook, Instagram, really all through social media. Um, I'm known as a Chicago tattoo artist. I began my career somewhat over a decade ago, and I have built a great business over those years from the South Side of Chicago. And I don't want to give you too much because it's in the book,
That's true.
but definitely from Chicago, born and raised, and like I say, more people know me as an artist, but now I am a motivational speaker, author, entrepreneur, and I believe we'll dive more into that as we get into the interview.
Okay. All right. Great. 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 Yeah, we kind of want to, tell you a little bit,
Yeah, tell
make
you
you
a little
can.
bit, make you come back.
Yes, whet your appetite a little bit.
Yeah.
So 10 miles to your destiny.
Hmm.
I think we kind of want to maybe start with that. He
Okay.
does so much. He does so much. He's a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur. He's got his hands in a lot, but positive
Hmm.
stuff. So what? How did we come to 10 miles to your destiny? I was talking before on my
Hmm.
pre-show. I said, how come it couldn't be like seven? People always say the seven is number completion. How come it couldn't be 2 miles to my destiny? Why? How do
Hmm.
we get to 10 miles to your destiny? Let's start off with the title first.
Okay, so 10 Miles to Your Destiny was I believe, a gift from God. I was sitting in Hawaii, I was on the beach, and I asked God, I said, wow, how did I get here? You're talking about a guy that grew up, in I never say underprivileged because my mom worked very hard for us to live the life that we live. So I won't disrespect her by saying underprivileged, but it's not normal. We didn't live in an affluent community, and it was kind of difficult coming up. So for me to be in Hawaii, how did I get here? And it was the Holy Spirit began to speak to me and said, Destiny. This is destiny. And 10 miles to your destiny came out of that moment. And I didn't know what it meant then, but as I began to write the book, I realized that the number 10 represents it's a number of perfection and a number of completion as it relates to when you look at 1 through 10. And after 10, it starts over again.
Yes.
So that it's a number of a divine order and a completion of a divine order. And as it relates to the book and our lives in general, we go through these seasons in life, and oftentimes we find ourselves coming out of one and entering another. It represents the completion of that season in your life, the completion of that lesson in your life, the completion of that level of your life, so you can go to the next one. And I really believe it was significant to emphasize 10 miles to your destiny because it's a testimony to completing, if that makes sense.
It
You
makes
got
a
it?
whole lot of sense. I'm like
Cool.
I'm like geeked because that's how I look at numbers anyway. When you
Exactly.
get to 10, then you're really starting over.
Hmm.
Of course you're going to do, 11, 12, 13, whatever,
Hmm.
then 20, but
Yeah.
you're starting over
At a
each
new
time.
level. At a new
Yes.
level. And man, I really wish people would understand that. You come out of one thing and then you get into something else, but you're not understanding. You may feel like physically you're going in it the same, but mentally and spiritually you're not. And you got something out of that last level. And like the Bible says, we go from glory to glory. And if you realize that, you can walk into the fight stronger. You walk into the fight more motivated and more encouraged because you passed this last level. You're going on to the next.
Love
Yeah.
it. Oh, I love it. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Before we go further, we want
Okay.
to tell them where to get your book
Okay,
before
you
we
see.
even start talking about how much you want to talk about this.
Okay, so
What?
we can find the book on Amazon. It's also featured on my website at www.mbinspires.com. Inspires with an S. But it's also available on Amazon. Please go out, support the book, get you a copy, get a friend a copy, sow this into somebody's life. Read the comments. I'm talking about go back and read the reviews so you can see what other people experienced when they read this book. Don't just take it from me because I wrote it, but I want you to hear about other people that have read it.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, good. Yeah. I tell people when I get ready to read a book. Now, I
Hmm.
didn't read the entire book. I did
Yeah.
just get it. But when I am looking at a project, a book, I normally look at the introduction. A lot of times I'm
Hmm.
looking at the forward,
Yeah.
so that I can, there's a lot of times to see if I'm really interested.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I'm just being honest. And your intro grabbed me.
Hmm.
You actually kind of summarize, what you had been through
Hmm.
as a young person
Hmm.
and coming along, and really why you got to writing this book.
Exactly.
And I loved it. It grabbed me. I just want to let you know it grabbed me.
Thank you so much.
And I even saw the mention of when you were in Hawaii, and
Yeah.
you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you could be like, okay, I've been through all of that, and
Hmm.
now I'm here now.
Hmm.
How did I get here? And then I heard your heart.
Hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because you didn't keep that for yourself.
Hmm.
You want to help someone else,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
how this comes
How it
about.
comes
This
about.
is not just for
Exactly.
Malcolm.
Yeah.
This is for other
Cause
people.
trust me, I'd rather not told that story. I'd
Really?
rather look, if I had a choice not to publish this book, I probably wouldn't have published it.
Okay, and tell me why.
Often, just like all of us, we all have things that we gone through in life that we kind of just say, I want to just keep that to myself, and we begin to build these personas to fit into the lifestyle that we want to live in. And I'll never forget my writing coach, Deborah Anthony. She had read my manuscript, and she told me, you have great bones, but we need to put some meat on these bones, and we need to hear your story. The same guy I talked to on the phone, I need to be able to hear in this book. And I said, well, Deborah, I don't want it to be about me. And she checked me. She said, but we overcome by the blood of the lamb and by the word of our testimony, and somebody's going to be freed with your story. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. But
Oh,
if it was my choice, I wouldn't have told the story.
you wouldn't have told it.
I would have
Now,
told it.
was it shame, or you just didn't want to be out there like that?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, uh, I believe we all have some shameful moments and some moments that we are uncomfortable talking about. But you get to the point to where when you look over your life, you find the power in the process. That wow, God has really brought me out of this. So at first it was cringing to begin to write these stories on these pages, because I thought about, what are people going to think about me, and are people going to talk about me? Are they going to laugh at me? But the more I began to write, I started to see God in every situation, and I said, wow, I can't wait to put this out, because there's somebody that's going through this. And if they can see God in this situation in mine, my prayer is that they see Him in their situation also. So it
Yeah.
became easier and easier as I began to write it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So put themselves into it.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to write?
So this whole book took 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. So it was a year of just battling with it, and I did 2 years of writing and completing it. Then, of course, editorial, book design, cover design, and publishing. So it
Right.
took 4 years to do.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about that first year as you were battling with it.
Mhm.
So obviously, you've already indicated that you were hesitant about sharing your own
Mhm.
story, and shout out to your coach, your writing coach,
Yeah,
who kind
Deborah
of
Anthony. Yes.
pushed you and told you
Yes.
that you really need to
And
do this.
shout out to my publishing group, Publish Affordably.
Wow.
Yeah, .com. Yeah, y'all need to publish a book. Publishaffordably.com. Where the owner is Marilyn Alexander. I love her so much. Deborah Anthony and her husband John Anthony. That they are amazing. Like, that's a great company to be with. I love them so much.
Is that right?
Yeah, and
And are they based in
they
Chicago?
right here in Chicago. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. So yeah, I do want to I want to talk about that first year because
Uh huh.
a lot of times when you're doing projects, whether it
Hmm.
is music or writing a book,
Hmm.
we self doubt.
Yes.
That
Yes.
comes in
Yes.
like,
Yes. Yes.
well, why should I be doing this?
Exactly. Exactly.
But you have a story to tell.
Hmm.
All of us, even those of you that are watching, you have a story to tell.
Hmm.
You may not realize it. You may not, yeah, want to be out there like that, or
Hmm.
have everybody looking at you,
Yeah.
or thinking that you're all that, because
Hmm.
that's not what you're trying to get across.
Hmm.
But it is encouraging to
Hmm.
hear you and how you
Hmm.
got over that. So what were the battles that were going on with you in that first year?
100% transparency. And so the biggest battle that I faced with writing this book was, as you learn a little bit more about me and my story, is I was a high school dropout. I dropped out of high school my junior year, and I ended up going to Lincoln's Challenge Academy. And while I was there at that academy, we did what you call TABE testing, and that was to prepare you for the GED testing. So on the reading part, I didn't score very well. So I was already insecure about reading, and reading has was a struggle for me, and writing had became a struggle with me also. So when God had told me, I want you to write a book, I say, no, you got the wrong one. I don't even like to read. How am I going to write a book? I haven't even completed a whole book, but I'm so grateful that God will walk you through the process. You know, oftentimes you'll get the image of the blessing before the blessing actually come into place, and it's through the process that you prepare yourself for it. So once I committed to that process, that year that I'm talking about was just a year of me reading. I began to order books, book after book after book after book. If you go to my house, I have a library now of books that I have read, I get into literature a lot. I read a lot of books, but I began to read every day, and I used to fight through it. I used to hate it. I'm talking about I couldn't get through a book. I couldn't finish one. And I had to fight through it. And I never forget the first book I ever completed was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And it really grabbed my interest. And it took me, I say about 2 to 3 months to really get through that book. You know, and the book is really not that big, but it took 2 to 3 months of me just not quitting and dedicating it to it. If I read a word I didn't understand it, I'll Google it and I read the definition. But I got through that book, and it planted a seed of a hunger for literature. So I began to read more, read more, read more. So when it's time for me to write, I had already developed a writing style based upon what I was reading. I had already developed a great lexicon of words to use while I was writing because I was reading. And I just want to tell somebody this: you oftentimes have an idea or a goal or a dream, but you don't match up to it. If you trust God and walk through the process, you're gonna come out better. Cause like I said, I couldn't read well. I could read great now. I couldn't speak well. I think I do pretty well. And it's all through the process that you begin to develop yourself for what's to come. So that's what the year came in at. I had to
Okay.
take time to develop.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that's smart.
Hmm.
And I applaud you for that.
Hmm.
Because sometimes people, okay, I'm going to write a book, and they just jump right
It
into
just
it,
jump
and
right
then
into it. Yeah.
and then they're clueless, and like, okay, then they get writer's block or something like
Hmm.
that,
Yeah.
or in
I went
other.
I went through all of that,
Did you?
all of it,
Okay.
every last bit of it. I'm telling you, after this first book, woo wee, you talking about warfare?
Is that
Jesus
right?
Christ, man, it was
All
tough.
right.
It was tough
Okay.
to get it out.
I have a question on the floor. Someone wants to know what your personal testimony is. If you can share a little bit more of that. I know you kind of went into it, and then um, as much as you can
Yeah.
about
Okay.
your
So
personal testimony.
my personal testimony, like I said, I grew up South Side Chicago, single family home. My mom had seven of us. We was all raised by my mother by herself, and we went through. I'm talking about all the ups and downs, being homeless, having to go without, and of course, my father wasn't in my life. He came back into my life and then died, and it was like, wow, what am I gonna do? Of course, going through high school, ended up dropping out of high school. I found myself in the streets, one foot in, one foot out, trying to become something I wasn't. After that, I got out of military school. I graduated. My mom moved out to the suburbs. Now I'm trying to find a job. Wouldn't nobody hire me. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a job, and I was actually working hard to find a job, and I could not find one. Went back, and I began to tattoo, and I took that thing seriously. I'll never forget too. I'm gonna dive a little bit into that because I feel that it can help somebody that is waiting on an opportunity and keep getting disappointed. I would get up every day and I would ride a bike from University Park. If anybody's on here familiar with the south suburbs, I would ride a bike from University Park to Matson, from Matson to Richton Park, from Richton Park to Frankfurt, from Frankfurt back to Chicago Heights, in that Chicago in the Southland area, looking for a job, and I could not find one. And I finally landed an interview at a McDonald's in Richton Park on Salk Trail. And what happened was I sat down with the guy. We had an interview for about 45 minutes. That's uncommon in McDonald's. So I just figured I had the job. You know, I rode the bike up there. I was ready to have my little suit and tie on. It was baggy too, you know. But I had my suit and tie on. I went in there. We sat down. Had a great conversation. The guy walked me to the door and said, "Sorry, Malcolm, I can't give you this job." I said, "What you mean you can't give me the job? Like we just had a great, like I thought I did good. I can't give you the job. You won't get it now, but you'll get it later." And I walked back to the house. I didn't ride the bike back. I walked it back, and I was in tears because I was so disappointed. And the reason I was disappointed because I did everything I could do, everything that was in my power. I didn't worry about somebody dropping me off, so I rode a bike. I didn't have the clothes, so I used what I had at home. You know, when I went in there, I went over interview questions after interview question after interview question, practicing just so I can get a job. And the man told me no, and I was done. And when I got back to the house, my mom looked at me. She said, I had an interview go. I went in the room and I cried some more and went to sleep. Now, all the while, I had been asking my mom to buy this tattoo kit for me. And she kept telling me no. She's like, no, no, I'm not buying that. You're not finna be doing that. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. After I went on that interview and came back to the house and she heard me in that room crying, she said she went to work and God told her to buy it for me. She said, just get it for him. And a week later, I got that equipment in the mail, and I made it my business that I would not stop until I made something out of this because my mom believed in me, and that's my story. And it's just like a lot of us. I don't like to be a guy that's singled out. We're all in this thing together. We're all going to go through struggles. We're going through ups and downs. We come from backgrounds, but just like the Apostle Paul said, I'm forgetting what's behind me and I'm looking at what's in front of me and I'm oppressed towards the mark. That's why I put it on the book because it's not more so about my past anymore. It's about the future, you know, and that's what I want us all to go with that. And that's what we're going to talk more about in this interview. And I hope I answered that question. Whoever
Oh,
asked it.
yeah, yeah, you answered it for me. I
I
hope he answered it for you.
hope I answered the question.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's very inspiring. And you said the
Mhm.
guy actually said you'll know.
You'll get it later. And I understood what he said. I understood what he said because now you fast forward 3 years from that moment. I had opened up my first shop in University Park. I was 21 and that guy was in the neighborhood and he was there. And he just kind of looked at me and gave me like a little head nod. I was like, wow,
Really?
wow. And that's so man, that statement right there is so rich. Like if you all just extrapolate that one part out of what I said, and I want you to hold on to that because oftentimes God will bring people in your life that will see something you may not even know, but they'll see a seed inside of you, and they'll do everything in their power to make sure that you make it to what they seen. So he knew that if he gave me that job, I would still be there. So even though I was a great candidate, I can't hire this kid because there's so much more in him. So let me just tell him no and step back and allow God to work. And oftentimes it'll happen like that. Man, look, if you ever dealt with disappointment, if you ever dealt with rejection from a job or whatever, let me tell you something. The world's rejection is God's protection, and he's allowing you to go through the season for just a little bit. He's gonna close some doors just so he can open up bigger ones for you. So just be faithful in the process. Continue to pray and don't stop. Just keep going.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Ooh, they are really enjoying you on here. Let me hop over here, you guys. I didn't ignore you. I was just mesmerized, I think it was. Let's see. Cheryl is on. Let's see. Gwen Gaston, and that's the one that asked the question about your
Gwen,
background.
okay.
Brandy McCord is watching, and David Chavers. Oh my goodness, who else? Angie Mims, Trina.
How y'all doing? Hey y'all.
Kayla's on. Desiree is on watching, and Fred Morris. Brandy's like, wow. Now, let me read this other comment from Brandy. That personal
Okay.
testimony will reach hearts that
Mhm.
you never could
Mhm.
if you hadn't humbled yourself
Yeah,
and laid yourself bare. This
exactly.
is honorable.
Mhm.
And Demetrius says, profound wisdom. I
Mhm.
love it. I love it.
Mhm.
And I guess what grabs me is you're a millennial. I don't say that. I'm not trying to be funny, but
I get it. No, I get it.
it actually inspires me to see
Mhm.
you all doing,
Mhm.
the positive things you're doing. You're motivating.
Mhm.
You're realizing your destiny. You're realizing your
Mhm.
what you're supposed to be
Mhm.
doing, and you're not just settling,
Exactly.
which is what you could have been doing if you had gotten that job.
Mhm. Mhm.
So thankfully there was somebody to push
Mhm.
you. You know.
Yeah.
So shout out to all the ones
Wouldn't
that
know.
pushed you.
Wouldn't know. I'm talking about, yeah, and there's so many people that pushes me wouldn't know. And as you dive into this book, you'll see more times I was told no. That's not the first time.
See.
I was told no multiple times, but I promise you that no was divine. And some of y'all getting some no's in y'all life, and y'all getting mad. They hating on me. They just that no, that's God protecting you. That no was divine, and it was ordered by God. Just keep moving, and you'll understand why. You know. But as it relates to millennials, that is my driving force. I truly believe that God has released Davids in my generation. There are leaders in this generation um that are gonna be world changers.
Mm.
That are gonna be I'm talking about shift the whole way we think and move and operate, for generations to come. But they're in the field.
Didn't feel.
They're in the field. And somebody has to go get them and walk them to the palace. And I just took the assignment of being that guy. I say, you know what, brother, I'm gonna meet you where you at because I've been there. I'm still there. I never put myself out there as a guy that has made it, because once you made it, you're done. I ain't made it. It's still more in me. It's still more for me to do. But when I look at these guys, because they come to me every day, in my business, and let me tell you something about these us millennials. We are fearless. That's one.
Mm.
Highly intellectual, but don't know how to express ourselves. And that relates to the culture in which we were raised, because oftentimes we don't have a person there to express ourselves to. What I mean by that is daddy's not there and mama's at work, so we don't have nobody to hear us. And when we try to get somebody to hear us, they shut us up. So that messed up the way we communicate. So oftentimes we don't know how to communicate, so it looks like anger, or it looks like frustration, and then it turns into violence. But really it's a kid inside saying, hey, look at me, validate me, teach me, show me, take my hand. And I learned that. So I say, you know what? I'm gonna be that guy. Come on, y'all, let me help you. So I started doing the motivational videos. I wrote the book. I'm gonna do more things to show the millennials that, hey, y'all, I'm not gonna say y'all, we, all of us, we can do this. We all have purpose. We all have destiny over our life. It's things for us to do. God placed a seed inside of us that are gifts to this world, and there's somebody that needs the gift that's inside each millennial in this generation. So I gotta do it. I
You
got
ca-
to.
you have to. And I'm going to encourage you to continue. Please continue.
Mm-hmm.
You have so much. You have so much to
Yeah.
give. So much to give. You that are on here and that are watching us on today, let someone else know that we're here. If you
Yeah.
have,
Please
if you
share. Please
have
share.
a young, maybe your children, son, daughter, let them know. Brandy, I saw you on here. I was trying to tag your sons, and they can be encouragement to each other. I was just talking to Brandy about her sons the other night.
Mm-hmm.
She has a wonderful young men
Mm-hmm.
that she's raised, and they're out doing. You got one that's becoming a police officer. You got
Mm-hmm.
one that he's into. You help me broadcasting or producing or something,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and they're out there, and I love it when they don't um, succumb
Yeah.
to their environment
Mm-hmm.
or to what they hear, in
Mm-hmm.
the news or in the media that they're not going to be anything or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. No, they're trying to make a difference,
Yeah.
and that is so important. Okay, so we've gotten beyond that first year. You
Mm-hmm.
said there were a lot of what did you say? What happened in that first year? A lot of roadblocks you came across?
No, just throughout the whole process of writing this
Oh,
book,
not just
there
that
was
first
some,
year, huh?
yeah, it was all the years. It was some stuff, you know. But I'm, like I said, I'm grateful for it, because after, of course, after you go through it, and you find the revelation behind it, and it, man, I wouldn't be the guy I am had I not gone through these things.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to talk about it and share
Great,
it.
great, great.
Hmm.
Well, we have oh my goodness, look at these chapter names here.
Yeah.
I had a young lady on my show on Wednesday,
Mhm.
Dr. Karen McGee, and she is the author of Power Words.
Mhm.
I was thinking about her. I was thinking about the interview with her
Uh
when I was looking at your book. The power word today could be destiny.
huh.
It could be destiny.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that.
Excuse
Go
me.
ahead.
And for those who have question about the word destiny, I want you to understand two things. So destiny, I believe, is God's destination for your life, and it speaks to the end. Where you're going, your destination for your life, and His purpose. Because we oftentimes talks about God's purpose. If this was a road trip, it's the reason you are even on the road. There's somebody waiting on your arrival. And that's why it's important that you do not quit. You have to make it to the destination because there's a purpose that's all wrapped up behind that.
That's
Go ahead.
deep. That's deep. I'm sorry. You're just. I'm looking at you like that is very deep. Now look. Is it okay to read something from the back of
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
this
ahead.
book? Let's see. I like your analogy when you were talking about the individual that talked about the richest place.
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Mhm.
And it says the richest place in the world is the graveyard.
Mhm.
There, in those graves, lay dreams never accomplished,
Mhm.
goals never set, and a destiny never met.
Mhm.
The person continued on and say the average person dies with their purpose and never meets destiny.
Mhm.
You'll find that there are a number of reasons that people don't make it to their destinies, whether it be they fall victim to circumstance,
Mhm.
and we kind of just chatted about that a little bit, or they simply fold under the pressure of fear.
Mhm.
Let's talk about trying to overcome not being a victim to your circumstance so that you can get to your destiny.
Ooh, that's good. So circumstances, how I was brought up, the family I have, we all got family. I'm just gonna say I love mine because they might be watching. I love y'all. I love y'all. But with each family and each environment that you grow up with, circumstances, there's a culture. There's a culture within that, and that's what you're raised with, and it's that cultural mindset that that frames the lens that you view your life. So if you were born in the ghetto and all you see is the ghetto, you think that all you will live is the ghetto. And that's not necessarily true. If all you see is dysfunction in the house, all you live is dysfunction, you believe that all you will live is dysfunction. But I'm so glad that the Bible says, be not conformed to the ways of the world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's all a mindset. And that's what I mean by how people fall victim to that, to those circumstances. You know, you can take a person out of the hood, but if you don't get the hood out of their mind, they're gonna bring it with them. So what I'm saying is we have to begin to change our mindset, and that's how you can reach your destiny. Because then you realize that there is one there for me, and I can make it, no matter what the past says, no matter what this person says, no matter what went on in my past life. There's a new life for me that I can walk into, and I'm able, I'm capable, I have everything that I need. I'm smart enough, I look good enough. I don't care if they don't like me, I like me, God likes me, and I'm gonna make it. It's all about the mindset. And that's what I'm talking about when I said that people fall victim to them circumstances. It's not the fact that the circumstances killed them, it's the fact that they didn't get their mind out of that circumstance and they never made it because they didn't believe it.
Yeah.
You know,
My motto is everything starts in the mind.
everything starts in the mind.
It does, and you
Every
have to be so careful
Mhm.
what you place there. Number one, and what you allow to continue to stay there.
I was just talking to a client this morning. They have a newborn boy, and we were talking about the process of conception, and I was watching a 3D video that shows how a baby is developed in the womb, and I found it remarkable that the first thing that develops is the mind, and then from the mind drops down the spinal cord and everything else. So so to show you the power of the mind, and I could be pushing this, saying this, but I just want you to entertain it for a second. That the fact that you thought yourself into existence, so everything about you is perfect because you thought it. If your mind was the first thing that was developed, and everything that came after that came from the mind, you thought yourself that way. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, say, "My nose is fine because I thought it this way." You
Okay.
know, my attitude is great because I thought it this way. My life is bright because I thought myself here, and that's how powerful the mind is.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we have to be careful
Hmm.
how we treat
How
this.
we treat the mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
and what we allow in it. Oh my goodness, they are jumping on here. Demetrius says that's the perfect definition of his generation. Trina's saying yes, Lord. They're saying speak glory, preach. He is preaching, isn't he? He is. He is. Probably without even actually, thinking that he's doing it. He's doing it. But oh my goodness, that's I love that. How you went into detail about falling victim to circumstance. I think if more people would understand that, that it would help them.
And I figure out why. So why did I have to go through this? I hear so many people ask that question. I say, why not you? Not even to be cliche, but why not you? I realized that I was born in the hood, I was born in the ghetto, and I was born into poverty, but not to stay there. I believe God allowed me to be born there so I can know what problems to fix after He has blessed me and brought me out. I know what to go back and fix.
Yeah.
You know, I know exactly what to go back to fix. If we all look at Moses in the Bible, Moses was born a slave, brought into royalty, went and lived his life and went back and pulled the children of Israel out. So, but if he was going to live in the palace, be raised in the palace, why didn't God allow him to be born there? He had to be born in the culture that he was going to save. So, oftentimes when you see yourself, you know, and you look around at your circumstances and you ask why, because you are going to be the one to make a difference there. God is going to bring you out, but He wants you to have some type of cultural pull to bring you back. Don't leave the hood and forget about it. Leave, gain your resources, gain your knowledge, and go back and educate your people. Pour back into your people with your finances, with your time, with your thoughts, the way you think. That's why you were born there. It's not because you were doomed from the womb. No, it's because that you were blessed enough. He knew you before you was formed in your mother's womb, and you're an answer to somebody else's prayer. So 2 generations ago, somebody grandma was sitting in the house and said, "Lord, I don't want this for my kids." So then he thought of you and said, "I'm gonna let you be born here, and then I'm gonna walk you through a process, and I'm gonna bless you, but I'm gonna have your heart attached to that community so you can go back and be the answer to mama's prayer."
Now you see, I'm laying back, right? You are really like shutting me up today. You really, but you know what? That I went as you were talking, I thought about change your mindset.
Hmm.
Change your mindset about maybe where you've grown up,
Hmm.
the area you grew up in, what happened to you.
Hmm.
Don't just whatever.
Hmm.
Change your mindset. I'll say, okay, I love how
Yeah.
you describe that. You were the answer
You the
to
answer.
somebody's prayer.
Hmm.
Think of it like that, and I believe that would help you to come out, of those continual
Hmm.
cycles, that we go
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Sometimes we stay in the comfort zone, like you said, thinking that this is where I'm supposed to stay. I
Hmm.
grew up here together. I was born
Hmm.
here,
Hmm.
and maybe this is where I stay.
Yeah.
And then they just settle.
And then why even feel bad about it? Like, you weren't the first one. Jesus came from the throne and came down. He didn't have a house or a mansion. He slept in the woods, on the ground, wherever he could go.
That's good
You
stuff.
know, he
That's
slept
good
wherever he
stuff.
can go, and he saved the world.
Right.
So what, you were born in the ghetto? You ain't got to stay there, but you'll be used to save the area from which you came. So understand, when you look at your life, change your perspective. Let's change the lens in which we view our situation, and then you can see a better outcome from it.
Love it. Love it. I am learning something from him on today myself. That's why I say, don't count these young folks out. Don't count him out. I can look at him as a son, but don't count out what he's saying, because he's the answer to somebody's prayer, and he is
Hmm.
definitely giving us information that we need on today. So okay, we talked about falling victim to
Hmm.
circumstance,
Hmm.
or simply folding under the pressure of fear. Let's talk about the
Hmm.
pressure of fear.
Most people are afraid of two things: the fear of failure and the fear of success and messing it up. And either one of them, you got to understand. One, failure is a matter of of another person's opinion. So where they think you failed, you could have succeeded because you learn something each time. I really believe there's a thin line dealing with that word failure. You know, and it all comes down to perspective and the way you view it. So there's plenty of things in my life I can say I failed at, but really, did I really fail, or did I just learn another thing about it and how not to do it? you know, and oftentimes it's only a failure when you stop. See, most people can define it as failure because you'll go out and begin doing something and it don't work for you the first time and you never pick it back. That is a failure. But it's not a failure if you keep going at it and going at it and going at it and going at it and going at it. You get what I'm saying? I'm one of my favorite writers, Winston Churchill. I read some of his quotes. Winston Churchill said that success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. So I'm not afraid of it because I know it's a part of the process. And it's really not failure when you look at it because I'm learning as I go. That's why he said without loss of enthusiasm. Because if without loss of it, that means I'm gaining. That means I'm going faster because I'm learning more. So yeah, it has to be a part of the process. So don't be afraid to fail. You know, you fail to success. You learn to success, and then the fear of actually being successful and messing it up. Let me tell you something. People, listen to me. You deserve to be successful. You were born to be successful. God did not think of you, send you to this earth, put your mama through all that pain just for you to fail at life. He wants you to be successful. He said, I know the plans I have for you.
Mm.
Plans not to harm you, but plans to give you hope and a future. You are going to be successful. And nothing that you can physically do will mess it up. You won't mess it up. Don't be afraid of it. And then you look at it like this. Or you can continue to live the life you've been living, the one that we complain about every day. Oh, why I gotta do this? Why I gotta do that? Why I gotta do it? I'd rather be successful and mess it up than go back to from which I came. You know?
Yeah,
So just give it a shot.
give it a shot.
Just give it a shot. Why
Don't be
not?
afraid.
Don't be afraid. For
It's a,
what?
it's a part of
Yeah.
your growth. It's a part of it. I love it. Love it. I love it. Trenda says fear can rob you, and I agree.
Hmm.
It definitely can rob you, and of so much
I
that
think I
we.
want to touch on that just a little bit more.
Sure.
We have to learn to manage our fear too. You know, we have to learn to manage our fear. I know, we got some real deep people on here probably say, oh, God didn't give me the spirit of fear or the power of it. God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but He gave us fear. And what fear works as is a defense mechanism. You walk into a room full of people and you feel that inclination like, dude, get up out of here. That's your fear telling you this is not safe. Leave. So let's not become ignorant to that. That fear was naturally wired into us. But operate in the spirit of fear, that's a totally different thing. And I think we have to be able to discern the difference from that. I ain't gonna speak too much into it because I'll get to
No, why,
preaching.
why don't you give it the distinction there? Because
So the
that's
distinction,
good stuff.
so the distinction, like I said, the spirit of fear comes from, I believe, is rooted out of insecurity and a whole bunch of other things. But the inclination of fear is something that you were wired to do. You know,
So the spirit of fear is going to make you.
that's what cripples you.
It
Cause it,
cripples
cause
you.
it won't. It will stop you from doing and going after what God has for you. And I believe that is sent by some demonic force, and it's tied to something else that happened in your life.
Yeah.
And you're afraid because you think this situation is going to come out like the last situation. So we must not operate in the spirit of fear when it comes to our life, but then also understand the difference between the healthy fear. And that's what allows us to proceed with caution. And I actually have a chapter in my book that talks about proceed with caution. And the analogy that I use in this book is, though I may be speeding, how many of us been driving on an open road in the middle of the night? There's nobody out there. Now, I know the speed limit 55, but I'm gonna do 90.
Ooh,
Right? I'm keeping it honest with you. You know, I'm gonna pump it up a little bit. You have to proceed with caution when you have to excel fast. Is what I'm saying. Because one bad move can cost you everything, and that caution is rooted by a healthy fear of, if I mess up, I'm gonna kill myself. So let me be cautious. And the spiritual field, which I'm talking about, is that thing that tell you don't even move fast when God has opened up the road for you. You know, and I and
mm.
I, I hope I explained that
That's
well enough.
good though,
Yeah.
because we always, as humans, we don't like to wait for anything. So if we know that that's the open road. Okay, I'm telling you distinctly to go this
Go.
way,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, well, I'm going full force, but you're telling us to
Mm-hmm.
proceed with caution
Proceed with
still.
caution. Yeah.
Even though this is the accurate road that you're
Mm-hmm.
on,
Mm-hmm.
still proceed with
And
caution. That's
oftentimes
wisdom.
too, you think about it. There, I want y'all to follow me with this, and I'm gonna tread lightly. But sometimes God will open up the road for you. You know, He will open up the road for you and allow you to move fast. How many times have you been so like? I believe I've been in my business for a decade, and I've done more than people that's been in the business for 30 years. Because God has opened up the road for me and allowed me to move fastly. But I had to be wise enough to proceed with caution. You know, I had to be wise enough to know, hey, save your money during this time. Hey, don't do this during this time. Hey, stop talking to those people over there because they can make me shift the wrong way while I'm moving fast and cause a collision somewhere. And that's what I mean by having a healthy fear of proceeding with caution. Because for some people, God does open up a door and accelerate you very fastly. And then the spiritual fear of I see the opportunity, I hear God telling me to speed up, but I'm afraid to. And I pray they can get that distinction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ah, all right. I did. I got it. I got it. I understand. Fear versus discernment. That's what Demetria puts on here.
There we go.
And she also says this needs to be replayed until every person sees it.
Oh, thank you,
Hashtag Malcolm
Jesus.
Brown is teaching. Hashtag he was born for this. I agree with you, Demetria. I agree. Totally agree.
I'm
She
still
also says
walking
proceed
into
with
it.
caution when you can excel quickly.
Mhm.
They're like throwing in a lot of your comments on the on the live feed so that
Mhm.
everybody can make sure that they when they come back into this they'll read that as well. All right, it took you a total 4
Yeah.
years. What was your favorite, or should I say, did you have a favorite chapter?
I think one of my most difficult chapters, which would be my favorite because it was so freeing for me, was there's a chapter in here entitled "Moving Through Traffic," and I talk about two personality profiles. Right when you're on this road to be successful, um, so I want y'all to dive into that. But the reason why is because I couldn't complete this chapter until I made a move in my life.
Mm,
You know, and I was in a relationship for a while, for a very long time, and that relationship, due to both of us growing and developing, and of course making mistakes and trying to fix mistakes, it just didn't work out. You know, and I was holding on to it, and I knew God was trying to release me from it. And I would go after God has moved his hand and released me, I would go back and I would go back and I would go back and I would go back. And when he had gave me this to write in the book, I didn't want to write as a liar. I didn't want to still be sitting in that place. And so it took me through a whole process in which I had to get out of the relationship, heal from the relationship, and then I wrote about it. And I'm so grateful that I let go, because when I opened up my hand and let go, God put something else in my hand. And my wife, shout out to my wife. I know she gonna watch this. So I love that lady to death. Oh my God, she's such a blessing.
that's beautiful.
But when I released, that's when God was able to bless me. And that's one of my favorite chapters because I got the most out of it.
So this is actually Malcolm in motion in this chapter. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I had to live through it. In each chapter, you know, I was living through things. And I believe part of that was why it took a while too, because it was certain things that I believe God wanted in this book that I had not even yet lived through. Because there's a couple situations that's in the book, in these chapters, that I was going through the process before I even started writing about it.
Right, right.
Hmm.
And he obviously wanted you to have that experience
Exactly.
because when you have the experience, then you're able to talk about it
Hmm.
freely, like you said.
Really, yeah.
And you know what you're talking
You
about.
know what you're talking about.
You
Yeah,
know,
you believe whether anybody else agree with you or not, you can speak with passion because you went through it.
you went through it.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't, somebody's going across the street. Oh no, go that way,
And you
and
ain't crossed the
you ain't
street.
crossed the
I
street
ain't trying to
yourself.
hear
Yeah.
you.
Exactly. You gonna get me hit. There's a quote here at the beginning of that chapter that he
Mhm.
loves moving through traffic, and it says, "Eagles don't fly with pigeons." As Pastor John Hanna.
It's my pastor. Yeah.
Is that your pastor?
Yeah, it's my pastor.
Okay,
Yeah, it's my
okay.
pastor.
So many great things come from
Yeah.
Pastor
I,
Hannah,
I
and so
love
many
I love
so
the
many
man of
wonderful
God.
people and great projects
I love
come out
that
of that
man of
church.
God right
That's
there.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Hmm.
So you are, I I'm maneuvering through like I'm doing today because we want you all to get this book. We're not going to like sit here and talk about every chapter of this book
Mhm.
because you're going to go out and purchase the book,
I want you all to
right? Yes.
definitely go out, go on Amazon and support the book. And like I said, read the comments. Let's look at some of the other people' experiences, what they read about it, what they felt from it, and go ahead and get it for your life. I encourage you to sow it into somebody else's life also. If you know somebody that needs this book, buy it for them. Too many times we ask for opportunity to help somebody, and an opportunity to come and we'll miss it, and not knowing that it's a 911 and you are the person that's supposed to answer that call. So I ain't just saying it because I wrote it. Trust me, I do very well in my other business, and I'm not here to sell books. Okay, but I really believe that God released this in this time for this generation, and it's going to help somebody. So please get this book, read it for yourself, and sow it into somebody else's life. And I sold the book myself. Like I had 1,000 copies when I first bought this, when I first published this book, and I just give them away. There's so many people around the city of Chicago that have this book. I give it to Uber drivers. I give it to my clients. I be at Starbucks. Hey man, you like to read? And I just sold a book into their life because the benefit is knowing that somebody is being blessed from it. So definitely get it and sow it.
Yeah, this information is
Somebody
vital.
hashtag that get and sow.
Get it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. I liked at the end where it's almost like you were trying to do a GPS. Starting
Hmm.
route now. It's 10 miles to your destiny.
Yeah,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that.
Hmm.
You guys have to get this book. Go to mbinspires.com. Go to Amazon
Hmm.
to make sure, and then just type in 10 miles to your destiny.
And I want to give you all one more thing too, if we still got time. Speaking about the book and the title, I'm gonna talk about one special chapter. One thing I wrote in the book. I had a car accident. My car got hit by an 18-wheeler on the Bishop Ford Expressway. It flipped 6 times and went to a fence on Doty Road and burst into flames. And by the grace of God, I made it out of that with a scratch over my eyebrow, and I survived it. But oftentimes, when traumatizing things happen to you, you ask yourself, "Man, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here?" So fast forward, 5 to 6 years later, right? I'm sitting in my living room and I'm going through the concept on how do I want to put the book cover together. So I called my photographer. I said, "Hey man, we're gonna do a photo shoot X, Y, and Z." He picks this space. We get out there. We take the photos. I get the book cover back from my graphic designer, and I burst into tears. I don't even know why I'm crying. Like it's just like my spirit is leaping. Why am I crying? And then I looked at it. When I tell you the same place I'm standing on this book cover is where I had that car accident. It's the same place on Doty Road. And my videographer and photographer William Gates, he owns a company called Open World Films. He chose this location. And when I got out there, I wasn't even paying attention because I was running late. I just wanted to take the pictures and go. And when I got it back, I seen that I was standing at the same spot where the devil tried to take my life, and God now has me standing on that same spot declaring the victory. And I guess what? I got spoils of war right here. You get what I'm saying? So oftentimes, man, you're gonna go through some stuff in your life, man, and you ask yourself why. Just keep walking. I promise you, God will show you why He spared your life. God will show you that He has a destiny and a plan for you. Do not stop. Do not quit. Do not give up. Just keep walking, and He's going to get the glory. I promise you that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I had goosebumps
Girl,
listening
you
to
heard me say
that.
I was crying. I was like,
Oh,
ah.
wow. That's beautiful.
I was in the house, toe up.
Were
Yeah, I was
you?
toe up, girl. I didn't realize it when I looked at it. I say, oh wow.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
See,
Wow.
what the devil meant for evil,
Let
God
me
meant it
show
for
you.
good.
Let me show you that picture too. It's in here. And you see this. So you see the cover. Where is that at? It's
One of these
and
chapters.
I got it right here. That's it right there.
Oh, ho, ho, ho,
Yeah.
ho.
So we go from that to the cover of this
To
book.
the cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
We
deep.
ain't gonna show them the picture. We gonna
No, we're
let
not
y'all
gonna
get
show
the
them the
book. You'll
picture.
see it.
Okay, we're gonna keep this close. We're not gonna show them the picture. Oh my goodness, this is so deep.
Hmm.
Malcolm, I am so glad you came today,
I'm so glad you all had me.
and so glad that
Thank you.
you have shared with us your journey
Hmm.
to your destiny. As you said, there is so much more that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that you have taken the steps
Mm-hmm.
necessarily to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, I'm not stopping. My prayer is I'll be like David. The Bible says, and when David had fulfilled his purpose for his generation, then he went to sleep and he went on to be with his ancestors. So that lets me know that one, David knew his purpose and his destiny, and he knew he had completed it. So he was able to take a deep breath and say, Father, I'm on my way home. And that's the prayer I have for my life. I don't want to go a second too early, and I don't want to be here a minute too late.
All right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be right on time.
I want to be right on time
That's good stuff.
and
Good stuff.
finish. Mm-hmm.
Malcolm Brown is here, guys. He is definitely someone you should know. I'm probably dating myself. There was a segment on ABC7 News that would say there's someone you should know, and he is
Mm-hmm.
definitely someone you should know. So you guys make sure you look him up. I think you can go. I don't know if he has enough space to accept you as a friend on Facebook, but I'm sure you can look him up. Solo Raw is on Facebook.
Mhm.
And then what are you on Instagram?
So I have two Instagrams. I have Dr. Solo Raw on Instagram and MB Inspires _. So MB Inspires _ where you can find daily inspirations and my weekly motivational clips that I do.
And those are great, guys. I got a chance to listen to some of his inspirational talks, as I probably call it. But great stuff. You guys will not be disappointed when you follow this young man, when you, listen to all that he has to tell you, because it's definitely beneficial. It is definitely beneficial. And again, I'm thanking my producer again on the air for recommending
Well,
me
thank
to
you. Thank you so
interview
much.
this young
Thank
man
you.
because it definitely, oh my goodness, it was. Annette learned something today. And I also learned that I'm going to continue to push and
Mhm.
promote you and all those individuals who are out here doing something great like this because again, like I said, I heard your heart. You want to help. You want to help other people. You want to help them get out of wherever they are. And also so that they won't become a victim to their circumstances and
Mhm.
realize and understand where they need to be.
Mhm.
And you're well on your way doing that. And I encourage you to continue. I
Thank
pray
you.
for you
Thank you.
and hold you up. So whatever I can do on my end to push and promote you, I'm going to do that.
Thank you
I'm
so
going to do
much.
that.
Thank you.
All right, you are welcome.
Mhm.
And yeah, shout out to your wife. I
Hey,
don't know
baby.
what's her name. I'm sorry,
Lanisha Brown.
Lanisha
Oh
Brown.
my God, that's my rib. I love her so
That's your
much.
rib.
I
Lanisha, shout
love
out to you. You have, the Lord has blessed you with a wonderful young man that I have just had the pleasure of meeting on today. And I'm sure you know already. We're going to get out of here.
Let's
We
go.
have to have you back, though.
I love to come back. Anytime
Okay.
y'all want me, I'll be here.
Okay. All right. That's fine. We
Mhm.
will do that. He has a busy schedule. He's talking about anytime. He has a very busy schedule. But we're going to work it where he can come back.
I'll
So
be here.
we're going to get out of here. We just did a special session, Mind, Body, and Soul on today on Friday. But I want you guys to make sure you join me next week on next Wednesday. We will have our private chef coming in to do cook up some food for us. And we're going to have some individuals coming in promoting their projects, their events as well on Wednesday the 7th. So you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Stay safe. And until next time, I want you to get caught up with Annette.
Get caught in a net with Annette.